Hello and welcome to the Refs Need Love To podcast, a show that gives you a real, raw, and behind-the-scenes view of one of the hardest jobs on the pitch, the referee. I'm your host, David Gerson, a grassroots referee with over 10 years of experience and now a certified mentor and over 1,200 matches under my belt. You can find me at refsneedlove.com, on Insta, TikTok, and YouTube as well. Definitely check out the merch and support the channel at refsneedlove.com. Everything you purchase there goes right back into the show. Guys, today we have a really special guest and a topic near and dear to my heart. Someone who is helping to develop the next generation of referees. He is associated with the Florida Futures Program. I give you Mr. Charley Cox. Charley, welcome to the program.
Hi, here I am.
Hey, Charley. So you've been a ref for quite a long time. You even started not far from where I live here. Can you tell me a little bit about your referee story? How'd you get started and where it's taken you?
Started back in 1977. I got parked there while I was in the Army. I was supposed to be headed to sniper school, but they found out that I wasn't combat arms. En route, the closest place they had was Fort McPherson. And while I was there, I found out that there was a referee certification class. I just showed up and they let me take it, and I did pretty well. Later went to Germany and did the refereeing for the youth groups over there. Had some good fun. And when I came back, I just jumped on it. I was a merchant marine officer, what some other people would call big, slow target. We'll keep that to ourselves. But when I wasn't shipping, when I was off the ship, which was 6 to 9 months a year, I refereed. It was just always the thing that it's fun. Getting out with those kids is such a kick. I don't know why more people don't do it.
Yeah, it is fascinating. But I find a number of people that are military or former military are attracted to being a referee, that they have the discipline, they appreciate the need for order, whatnot, but also can balance that with good social skills. And I'm not sure, but at least in my area, I find a number of people who are active or former military actually are attracted to being a referee.
I think that's probably true. It's pretty common because when you're in the military or when you're in charge, you have to tell people to do things, but do it in a manner that is not, you're not forcing them or pushing them to do it all the time. You can say, hey, would you? And that carries all the weight of a lawful order. And we do the same thing on the pitch. We go out there with the kids and you say, watch that. You want to keep those elbows to yourself. Or watch those chicken wings, buddy.
That is wonderful. Right. So you've been reffing for over 45 years, which is amazing, just absolutely amazing. What is it specifically, and been involved in reffing and now as a mentor as well. So what is it specifically that you like about being a referee? What's kept you in it?
Honestly, I enjoy getting out with I specialize mostly these days with little kids because my knee's blown out and I can't really run as fast as I used to. And what I enjoy doing is turning it back into a game with the kids. When you get out there and these 14-year-old kids, they're with a coach that's so serious and their parents are thinking that it's the World Cup. And I'm going, hey guys, it's just a game. Let's have some fun. Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to lose. Let's come out of here without hurting anybody and have a good time. And when the kids come off and they're going, yeah, that was cool. You can't touch that feeling with anything. It's an unmistakable feeling of joy when you get to spread that. I think more people need to have that attitude, frankly.
It's interesting. I actually had a referee who was at regionals, and one of the pieces of feedback that was given to him at regionals was that he needed to smile more. So, seriously, that's a serious thing. And I think it's interesting that now we're starting to have this age of refereeing where not only do we not want to be combative, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not trying to tell them this is the law and this is what it is type of thing, but we actually want the referee, especially at the youth levels, to be a positive facilitator of an all-around kind of positive environment.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, it's just as easy to say a direct free kick handling as it is to say, bet you wish you hadn't done that. Their ball going that way. It's so much easier just to be pleasant about it and to even maybe crack a little joke. The kids love it when you make those little jokes. It's on a foul throw. It's just as easy to say, cool, dance moves. Those are cool, but not on a soccer pitch, buddy. They're green throw or whatever it may be.
I think it takes a long time to develop those types of soft skills to know when to use it, when not to, especially dealing with youth referees that are just starting out. They're just even trying to figure out how to feel comfortable out there on the pitch, let alone actually have small talk and banter, which takes a long time to figure out when is it appropriate, when is it not, who's into it, who's not. That actually is a really good segue, actually.
Speaking of, that segues nicely into exactly what it is that I do now.
I know. So you ref for 45 years. You're a certified mentor, referee mentor, but you're actually part of a really unique program, because I don't think we have one in the state of Georgia, and I don't know that a lot of states have them, but Florida has a program called the Florida Futures Program. Can you talk to us about that program, what that is? And
I'll be happy. The Futures Program is for kids that are 11 to 14. They're not quite old enough to referee for real, but they have an interest in becoming a referee and doing those sorts of things. We create an environment within clubs that have in-house recreational games. We send them through a program, 3 hours of online clinic, and then an in-person field training exercise, and then work with a mentor on the field so that they can go out and actually run some games. U8s, and we're now doing U6 games where the coaches are out on the field, but we put the kids out there with them under the tutelage of a mentor to go out and just get used to the mechanics, blowing the whistle, indicating the throw-in or the corner or whatever the call might be. And that makes it safe for them to try to do it and feel like they can get comfortable doing it. Because as Dave, the most important thing with almost all of this is experience. How many times we all have done those things where that did not go well. I stunk the place up tonight. But if you have those experiences when you're young with somebody there who say, yeah, don't sweat that. We make mistakes. It's not that big a deal. Blow it off. And let's go out there and get the next one right. And that confidence to move forward. And then when they turn 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, they're very good young referees. They know the rules better than the vast majority of the young referees that are just getting started at that age. And they've got experience. They're comfortable on the pitch. You can't touch that. I don't think.
I 1,000% agree that repetitions with a mentor is the best possible thing you can do to build confidence in a young referee. I think that's so key. I want to step back 1 second. You mentioned an online training. And I'm curious, is this the same online USSF training that you go through to get U.S. Soccer certified, or has Florida created their own curriculum for this?
They've taken the online USSF stuff and made it very close. They've simplified a few things because you're not going to get into the finer points as a futures referee, with a lot of focus on Law 11 and Law 12, and then the restarts. What do you do? And then, of course, the assistant referee job, because that's going to be the stuff that you do. Very junior recreational games and the recreational game assistant referees on the U12s or even the U14 sometimes.
And you've created a curriculum there in Florida. You've gotten the online course, and then you bring them for an in-person session. And this is, again, you said this is club oriented. So each club has a program within it, specifically a futures referee program. And they have a course, I guess, I'm assuming a couple times a year, and they bring the kids. And so what is the fees to get started? So if I'm an 11 or 12-year-old kid, how much does it cost for me to get started in a futures program to start become a referee?
In Florida, it costs $40 to get refereed. That registers you through the online management system, FSR system, the Florida State Referee System. You get the online video modules that are essentially 3 hours, and it's very close to the same thing that we get as just grassroots referees. You participate in the field training event or the field training exercise, and that typically lasts for a couple or 3 hours. And then you are given a futures referee jersey, referee shorts, whistle, cards, coin, everything except socks, pretty much. You have to buy your own.
I just want to clarify. So $40 gets you the access to take the session online, the in-person session, and you give them a uniform?
Yeah. Pretty good deal.
All they got to do is they got to get their black socks and black shoes. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh my gosh. And hang on. Do these kids even get paid too to do the U6 and U8 matches?
Yes, they do. Some of them get paid the full wages that anybody else would get paid. It's up to the
Wow.
club, obviously, and usually it's a discounted rate. But here is think about this as a part-time job for you as a middle school student. For me, it was junior high because I'm that old. But as a middle school student, you're out there and you're making 50, 60, 70 bucks on a Saturday. Think about that.
Yeah. Oh, it's insane. It's a crazy amount of money. First off, there is no job. It's hard. My son is 15 years old. He's had a really hard time getting any type of job at 15 years old these days. It's hard. Forget about 14, 13. No way are you actually getting like a paid regular type of work someplace to actually be 11 years old and 12 years old and to be able to earn money and $50 to a 13, 14-year-old kid. That is bank. And earning that a couple times a month, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm a guardian ad litem. I don't know if you know what it is, but children are removed from homes by Child Protective Services. The court will often appoint somebody to be their personal guardian angel. I think of it. That's what I think of it as. And you've got all the rights and privileges of a guardian. About 3/4 of the teenage boys that I get and help, I mentor also as referees. Some of them have accumulated many thousands of dollars in the bank as a foster kid. Can you imagine?
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I'm a huge advocate. I don't shy away from having the money conversation on refereeing. My son went to college with about $9,000 in the bank, and a large chunk of that was from being a referee as a teenager, which is insane. He always had more money than his friends. He didn't spend it, and we taught him that. But it's through being a referee. And I think as a young kid to learn work ethic, to learn about responsibility, to show up looking like a professional and all of those other great life skills you get, it's an unbelievable experience. And a bonus, you make money on top of it, I think is fantastic experience.
It's ideal. Let's face it. Why do we teach our children? Why do we want our children to play soccer? There's 3 reasons. Number one, nobody's a born soccer player. The more you practice, the better you get. 2, it doesn't matter how good you are, unless you can work with other people, unless you can work conveniently with other people or well with other people, you're never going to win anything. And 3, everything is extemporaneous. You make it up as you go along. 8% of what happens on the pitch is what occurs to the kid that's got the ball at his feet. Those are skills that we want children to have. And then you couple that with being a referee, a young referee, with the sense of responsibility and the authority that you have, even just looking professional in what you do. And it's a home run to me. That's just the way I see it.
Oh, 1,000%. I agree with you. So one other thing that you mentioned that I want to key in on, because this is really a big deal. So as Charley, there is a massive referee shortage, and all sorts of people are talking about lots of different things about addressing this. The clubs in Florida, this futures program would not exist without the clubs to go out there and get these junior referees and develop them. What do the clubs get out of this for them? I can assume what it is, but do you know, why is it that these clubs are sponsoring, organizing, participating in these futures programs to develop these referees from 11 to 14? What do they see in it for them?
From the club perspective, one, you don't run out of referees to fill slots. Every club in existence has had to cancel games because there simply were no referees, or had to reschedule games because there were no referees. That becomes a lot less of an issue. 2, these kids, as they come up through that future system, we're getting a 90% retention rate. Maybe 1 out of 10 drops out. You
got to stop right there. You stop. You cannot go further. We got to dive into this. Did I just hear you say that you get a kid into this futures program, 11 to 14-year-old kid who can't even figure out who their best friend is week to week? Okay. Yeah. Relationships last a matter of hours, not even months, hours. You just said a 90% retention rate for a kid who gets in this program, the futures program, and they stay long enough to become a certified referee?
Absolutely. Almost every single one. I had 12 futures referees last year, aged up, and were finally able to get their regular certification. 100% of them did it.
Unbelievable. That is just unbelievable. Those kind of numbers are absolutely crazy and unheard of
Yeah.
in this day and age. Yeah, that's the big news these days, is that you hear about how, and we all know the big published numbers of 80% of referees don't make it past the 3 years. They drop out before 4 years. And I know sometimes I know plenty of kids who've gotten their uniform. They've gone out and ref, didn't have a great experience. And they don't come back. They don't even earn enough to pay off what they paid in to become a referee. To hear you talk about 90% of the kids who enter a specific program wind up becoming referees after a couple of years, that's an amazing number.
Think about that. If that isn't enough motivation to get a club involved and invest that time and effort and what little money there is involved in it, then nothing is. They don't have to worry about finding referees on a Saturday. In fact, most of them, with the futures referees, we have to switch out referees at halftime just so we can get everybody some experience.
That's just unbelievable. And so let's talk a little bit more about that in that retention rate. When you get a kid in this futures program, now, obviously, I know in the initial online videos, you talked about Law 11, Law 12. So we're talking about our direct free kicks. It's probably too early if you're just doing U6, U8 to be worrying about offside or anything like that. But you've got some of the basics. Obviously, you're having them making sure they're clear on throw-ins and goal kicks and corner kicks if they're playing corner kicks, things of that nature. But when you've got someone in this futures program, what are you focused on with them? Let's say you got a 12-year-old kid. They're starting to do their first 3 or 4 games. They're 12 years old. They're reffing kids who are 7, 8 years old or something like that. What are you focused on with them as opposed to, say, maybe someone who's 14 or 15?
With them, mostly I focus on your demeanor on the field. Are you confident? Do the kids know that you know what you're talking about? And in terms of the laws of the games, it's just the very basic things. You don't trip, you don't push, you don't grab each other. What is a good throw-in? How do you teach the kid how to make a proper throw-in? What's a corner kick? How do you indicate a corner kick? What are your mechanics involved in doing those things so that it's just automatic? My wife gives me a hard time. I'm watching a soccer match on TV, and totally without thinking about it, I'm indicating that to throw in this way, or that's a direct kick, or he was offside. She won't sit next to me because it's dangerous. I don't do it consciously, but that's just because I've got so much experience. So if you focus on those mechanics that we do as a referee, having a confident whistle, know how to blow your whistle hard and get people to stop, or just tweet your whistle to let them know, stop. That's don't do that anymore. All of those simple mechanics that we think of as second nature as experienced referees, we have to teach them, and you have to learn that on the pitch. So we find those little kid games, and we teach them also to have fun with the little kid. Laugh and smile with them. Let them have some fun. It's a fun game.
Yeah, I feel like this is really what's missing. I'll just be very transparent. It's, again, so I got certified as a mentor last year. I just got signed up today for my first mentor or new ref training class in a couple weeks. Cool. They're going to do their online. I'm excited. I love training. So they're going to get online. They're going to watch these videos that are not really going to be relevant. They're probably going to be barely paying attention. They just passed the online quiz. Then they're going to come to this 3-hour training session. They've shortened it. It used to be 4 hours. Now it's 3 hours. Yeah. And we're going to do some basic mechanics as quick as we can, recognizing offside, throw-ins, all that kind of stuff. Try and teach them in a big group how to blow a whistle, and then we give them a badge and they're gone. And they might not get any more training, literally, for the rest of the year after that.
And I think the normal system now.
That's right. I talk to people who don't know, who parents of players, and they ask me, why is that reffing like this, or why can't you get refs? And I explain to them, it's like we get them certified and we throw them to the wolves. And I feel, Charlie, what you're describing is so valuable, that mentor to be there, to talk to them before, after, maybe even a little bit during the match. It's U6, U8, you might even have an opportunity to talk during a match, whatnot, to give them that confidence and that reinforcement of what to do. And you can watch them and see what they're doing and then give them pointers. Like, it makes all the sense in the world why they're being successful. That sounds amazing.
Kids that go through high school, when they get their regular grassroots certification, almost all of them, as they go on to college, continue to referee in college. I get on the phone and I call up assigners in whatever city, whatever town the college is in and say, hey, look, I got a good one for you. You want to use this kid as much as you possibly can.
And you're saying kids who have come through the Futures program?
Because they have come through that Futures program. If you imagine yourself as an 18-year-old kid, you just graduated from high school. Now, if you went through the regular program, you've got 3 years of experience probably. But if you came through the Futures program, you've got 6, 7 years of experience. Now, we know how much difference that makes in your simple mechanics, your confidence on the pitch, knowing what to do, what to say, and how to do it. You're still going to make mistakes. We all do. I've been for 40-something years. I usually tell people about half a century. And I make stupid mistakes sometimes. I usually catch them, but I'm still caught there with mine all over my face.
Yeah, but I think it's so interesting. Yeah, soccer is one of those games where you think you've seen it all, you haven't. Someone will do something that you've never thought of, a scenario you've never experienced before. You're like, what just happened? But those repetitions, they add up and they come into your memory and your brain. And the next time it happens, you're ready for it. And then even, I often say too, it's the first time you experience dissent from a coach. You probably are not going to know how to handle it. You're either, number one, you're just going to deal with it because you're not sure. Is that dissent? Is it not dissent? Should I say something? Or maybe you're going to react badly to it. Maybe you yell back or something of that nature. Exactly. Probably takes like about 4 or 5 different times of going through that to finally figure out, okay, I know what's happening. Okay, I've been told now by a mentor or a friend, or I've had time to think about it, and now I know how to respond. But having those repetitions and that experience, if you've got 5 years of that, man, at that time you feel confident and know how to deal with it. But if you don't have that experience with a mentor giving you feedback and guidance, it's almost impossible.
Exactly. Think about all of the kids that have gone out there and had that horrible experience, maybe at their second weekend of refereeing ever, and just go, screw this, I'm done. This is not fun. It's not worth the money. I don't want to get screamed at by these people. Once you've got the time, if you can deal with that under the tutelage with somebody in a safe environment, with a mentor there, so that you have the chance to get immediate feedback and go, that's it, coach, you're done. The next one's going to cost you everything.
I hear you. So I want to talk about that specifically. I have 2 questions. The first one is about the club. So again, the club is enabling this program to take place. So I'm assuming they've got to make some investment because those uniforms and stuff aren't free. So they've got to make some investment there. Do they specifically go out of their way to educate the parents about the Futures program and that there's going to be Futures referees out there? Do they have specific policies dealing with parent or coach behavior towards the referees in their club?
I'll give you the example of my club. I work at Pensacola Youth Soccer full time. That's basically my thing. I do other games, obviously, but that is my main focus because that's the club that I work with the most. We go
as a mentor. So you work with them as a mentor.
As a mentor. And they pay me to mentor the young Futures referees there, and even the older ones. I'm just the guy that isn't a mental encyclopedia. You know how that goes. You read something a few million times, you're probably going to remember what it says.
That's right.
There's that chance. But we talk to the parent extensively about how these kids are training just like the kids that you have out there playing. So you're not going to scream at your kid. Don't scream at somebody else's kid out there refereeing. And my presence is there. I know most everybody there. We've only got about 1,000 players at the club, and almost everybody knows who I am. I have a large presence, not just this way.
Not just physically, but mentally, a large presence.
And I'm telling, look, somebody makes a mistake. Whoops, they made a mistake. Your kid didn't play perfect game either. And that's the way. There's no use in screaming at them. It's just recreational soccer to have fun. Now, we have exceptional parents in that regard because we have conditioned them up. Probably once a year, we'll have somebody that gets just a skosh out of hand. Not too much because everybody else tells them to shut up. The parents police themselves exceptionally well. I've noticed. Peer pressure works best.
Yeah,
but
and it's not,
yes,
I'm assuming it's not just you.
On it. And there's a weekly blast that goes out, blast email that goes out to all the parents that says, remember, these referees are training too.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think it's not just you It's a club who has in a position to make sure that parents know what's expected on the pitch towards the referees. And there are just so many benefits that comes from that. Number one, you're proactively teaching the parents how to behave. So they're going to behave better. Number two, you're creating an environment where the players are going to have a positive experience. It's not toxic and angry. And then number three, you'll actually develop an environment where you can actually get great refs because the refs feel welcomed and they don't feel attacked and under pressure, and they can actually learn and experience and try and better themselves over time because they're not having to do that in a difficult, toxic environment. It's fantastic. There's so many wins that come from that.
One of the things that's really cool, because of the way that we do that and the way we work with our parents and the young referees, when a kid goes and does a good job on the field, you'll see the parents walking over to shake their hand and say, "Did a really good job." Now, how much do you get with that at the competitive games that you see, at those weekend tournaments? Not a lot. It happens, but it's pretty rare.
So talk to me about, so this is Pensacola Youth Soccer. It's about 1,000 kids there.
Yeah.
Do you know of any, so the Futures program is a Florida-wide. Now, you're in the Panhandle, you're in Pensacola, but do you know of any competitive clubs, academy-type clubs, if you will, those clubs that have ECNL or MLS next to them? Do you know of any of those clubs who also run Futures programs there?
Yeah, there's one in Niceville that does that. Wakulla doesn't, but Niceville used to be the FC Dallas team, and I'm not sure. I think they went Rush now. Hold me to that. But the Panhandle largely has gone through the Rush program. I know down in Central Florida, there are lots of them. There's Swan City has a great Futures program. West Florida Flames has a great Futures program. Those are the two that immediately come to mind. Oh, Hawks has a great Futures program. And those are all highly competitive clubs that play Premier League soccer.
Yeah. I would also say, too, I know we're talking about the Futures program here, but I just want to give some props to the Florida State Referee Association in general. I know I'm lucky enough, I get the emails, I'm invited to the webinars, but your organization is doing monthly webinars, usually bringing in FIFA professional referees, highly experienced referees, talking about different laws of the game scenario. I know that you guys do wonderful trainings. You've got amazing facilities there in Florida and have extremely high power tournaments that come to your state and unbelievable opportunities to get mentors. I think in Florida, it's not just this Futures program, which I think is fantastic, but as you move up, there seems to be lots of opportunities to get the training you need to advance as a grassroots ref, move to regional if you want, if that's what you desire, and even national. I've seen just unbelievable things out of all of the Florida State Referees Association.
Yeah, I've got nothing but good things to say about the Florida State Referees Association. They have done a phenomenal job of developing with the most highly organized bunch that I've run across anywhere in refereeing, except for possibly the German system when I was over there. But I had to learn to speak German to do that. That was hard.
I know. I will tell you, I'm just going to give props. Florida, Minnesota, Southern California are probably the three. Northern California, I hear wonderful things about as well, but it's not everywhere.
No.
And listen, I'm very actively involved with my local association, and I know the referees who are part of the State Referee Association. We've had a lot of turnover. They're wonderful people, but they're under-resourced, and we've got a lot of different clubs going a lot of different directions. It's hard to get people organized, but what you guys have in Florida is special. And I got to tell you, man, this Futures program, it solves so many of the ills that we have in culture around the game, in developing and understanding and appreciation for the game, and developing the next generation of referees, but even just the empathy for the referees from the parents and the players and the coaches, because they see young kids out there learning the game. They have to adapt and develop a different way to participate in the game too. I think it's fantastic.
I do too. I'm extremely fond of this program. I think that it solves so many little problems that come with it. Not the least of which is when a 14 or 15-year-old kid goes out there on his first weekend refereeing soccer and he gets thrown to the wolves. There's nobody around to nudge him along and say, okay, you did a really good job of this. You missed this one up. You might want to work on a better way to do that. In the end, you probably did a very good job. There's nobody doing that. There is no other place. But if you come through the Futures program, you've got years of that behind you where people have worked with a finer point and taught you to things like the consideration. You don't even get that in your basic grassroots stuff. They don't go over the considerations. That doesn't happen.
Not at all.
No,
and so completely agree. Completely agree. Even as an experienced referee, it's very hard to know and very hard to get. Now, I want to just ask about that next level referee, those grassroots referees. Now, I know you work specifically with Pensacola Youth Soccer, so you're at the field, and I'm sure you're working with not just the futures referees, but the older, more experienced referees too, with everybody. The other clubs in the area, do they have someone that they primarily work with as a mentor that's regularly at the fields? Is that a common thing? Is it rare?
I think it's actually rare. You'll have somebody there, but they aren't wandering the fields looking. You just don't see it. There just aren't enough mentors. And that's something that Florida has put a lot of emphasis on, is finding referee mentors and referee coaches and having them at tournaments to go and work with the young referees when they're doing those first few games. I do that a fair amount on weekends when I'm not engaged at the club where I am. And there just aren't enough of them, So they put a lot of focus on trying to teach people to be mentors. And you don't have to be a young stud in your prime doing that. It's the older guys that have done it for a long time that can tell you, don't let that worry about it. That's a very minor thing. Or, don't do that again.
I have to tell you, so I became a mentor for two reasons. Number one, I'm really passionate about, developing referees and giving them the training and mentoring that I never had in my first 5 or 6 years. So I'm really big about that. The other thing I will tell you about being a mentor is I'm a bit younger than you, Charlie, but I'm right about to be 50. I'm almost 50.
Okay.
And I got injured about 2 years ago. I tore my hamstring, regional fitness test, tore my hammy, and I was out for 8 weeks in the middle of the season. It was March. So it was the beginning of March, and I lost my entire high school season. I lost the main part of the club season. And when I'm not reffing on the weekend or out there at the fields, I feel really lost. I mean, serious. Craziest thing this past weekend, it was July 4th weekend, and all of the local men's leagues took it off for the weekend. I couldn't get a game, not one game. And I was laying around the house. I'm like, what am I supposed to do here? I literally didn't know. I caught up on all my chores. I mowed the lawn. I hedged. I did all this stuff. I was asking my wife, I was like, do I need to fix anything? Can I change any vents or something? It's nothing. And I was really, I felt useless. And so I became a mentor so that if I do get injured, or again, because I get older, I do think about it more, or whatever, my Achilles acts up or something, that I can do that on the weekends as opposed to reffing on the weekends, running out there and still be connected to the game and give back.
Yeah. Let me give you some props right quick, because I want you to know that I use your little shorts that you put on TikTok and Facebook and whatnot. Because I'm saying, listen to what he says here. Look at how he goes through what the considerations are to see if this is worthy of a red, or should it just be a yellow, or is it even a foul? Use that extensively. You are a tremendous asset to this profession. And don't ever wonder about that. I count it as the privilege to be here talking to. It's just a phenomenal thing. In the ranks of Kai Risdall et al.
Yeah, no, Kai Risdall, he is the man. I'll say that. But Charlie, I will just say thank you so much for that. Sincerely, I get messages all the time about people digging the content. I wish there was more out there. There is a massive gap that I feel like I'm trying to fill. The FIFA referees and the SRAs get access to what's called FIFA Red. And there might be 99% of the people listening to this podcast have probably never heard of FIFA Red, but that's where you get to go. If you're a national or a pro ref, they have videos that go through the considerations and they're from international matches, and they give guidance. This is what you'd be thinking about. This is a yellow versus a Rick or whatever. But between that and the grassroots certification 1 time a year exam, there's really nothing.
Nothing. Total
nothing.
void. There's nothing.
Total empty void. And so I'm trying to fill that in right now the best I can.
You're doing a phenomenal job with it. And anything I can do to help promote that, I'm in. You just call on me. I'm all in.
Listen, I will tell you, just sharing this futures program, Charley, if people want to find out about the futures program in Florida or specifically what you're doing, where would they go to get information on that?
You can go to the FSR website. Just look, Google Florida soccer referees, and it will take you there. And then once you're there, when it says get into the beautiful game, it's a great little website. You can look for futures that's there. And it says non-recreational games only, or club level games only. And that is your certification. And you can do that. You can also contact a couple of guys. Let me see if I can give you their. Matt O'Brien is the guy that has done so much work with all of this. He is the futures guy that has created the program statewide. He's the one that grabbed me and said, hey, what are you doing? We need to talk. We talk extensively, probably once a week. Poor kid's trying to get his doctorate in mathematics education in South Florida.
Oh, that's all. Nothing.
Yeah. And the youth soccer guy for the Florida State soccer referees is John Bauman. You can find both of their contact information on the Florida FSR website. Feel free to contact them and ask them. They are a wealth of information. We have a flyer. I'll be happy to send you a copy of it.
Please.
You're ready. But those are the two big contacts in the state.
Yeah. So I'm just going to commit right now for everyone listening to this. I'll write a blog on my website with everyone's contact information and information about the futures program. So you can check it out at refsneedlove2.com. I'll put a link to the Florida's page in the show notes for the podcast as well. Well, Charley, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the pod today. And thank you so much for what you're doing to develop that next generation of referees down in the Panhandle of Florida, man. They are so blessed to have you. Thank you so much.
It's a good program. Thanks so much for having me on, man.
Outstanding. Guys, I hope you all enjoyed today's podcast. This is so needed for those junior referees who are interested in being a referee, but maybe not ready yet and certainly can't be thrown to the wolves by themselves. This gives them the experience they need to become refs. And oh my gosh, 90% of those referees wind up staying as referees beyond this program. That is huge success right now. So I give Charley and the Florida Futures program so much props for making this happen. Guys, I just want to remind you out there, if you ever want to get in touch with me, shoot me an email at refsneedlove2@gmail.com. Shoot me a DM on Insta or TikTok. I read every single note sent my way. It may take me a little while to get to it, but know that I care about you and I appreciate it. As always, I wish you well. I wish you strength. I wish you safety. I wish you fun on and off the pitch. And of course, I hope your next match is red card free.